Hi, this is my 1873 Winchester uh, caliber 3220. I got this as a present from my family a couple of years ago for Christmas. And, they all kind of know I'm into the older lever guns and older weapons or rifles. It's just one of my passions in life. And I wanted to get something I could shoot at silhouette targets. And something a little bit uh, shoot a little flatter than maybe the 4440, a little faster round. The 3220 would probably fit that bill, and this is that 3220. This particular rifle was made in the 1880s. Pretty old rifle. It's unique. I don't have any history on the rifle, unfortunately, because it was part of an estate, ended up in a gun shop, and that's usually how these rifles end up ever going for sale, and that's usually in an estate sale. They're in somebody's closet for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and then unfortunately, there's a death in the family, and these things end up at auction, or they, entire collections are sold, and that's pretty much how they get back on the market. Now, usually, guns in this condition will end up back on the market, but the really pristine things, the real collector items, those go into a private auction, and they go for pretty good money. And I think anybody in this that understands how it's done in the collector's world, that's kind of how it's done. Because some of the, I mean, if you had a 1 in 1,000 of these rifles that was stamped on the barrel, I mean, these things are going for $250,000. So, I mean, it just depends on what the rifle is and the condition and whether it's a really rare rifle. This is not a really rare rifle. This is an octagon barreled rifle. It was pretty standard back in the day. This is a 24-inch barrel. It wasn't a special order. This is what usually left the factory. If you didn't special order a barrel, then you got the 24-inch barrel. That would be the standard catalog item that shops would carry on hand if you went in. Back then they had grocers that sold everything. They sold guns, they sold tobacco, they sold everything. So um, these are what would have showed up on the rack in your local hardware, grocery / whatever store. So I have shot the rifle, and every time I shoot one of these old rifles, I just get a big grin on my face. This is the third generation or third iteration of the 73. You can tell this top where the dust cover slides isn't screwed on. It's just part of the frame. And this is they started to streamline the manufacturing after a while. I'm not exactly sure when those dates were. It was in the 1880s sometime, I think, that they went into this final iteration. I have a second model that has the screwed on. There was a screw here that screwed this plate on. That's one of the ways, and I'm sure there's other ways that the Winchester guys can tell you. They have a lot more knowledge of it than I do. I've read a little bit about it, but I'm no historian when it comes to Winchester rifles. I just enjoy them. I have 3 or 4 Winchester lever guns and some Winchester rifles that I enjoy shooting. So this is a couple of the unique things about it, and I'll show you a little close up. Is this silver inlay, and some of the nice things that I saw. It has some wood inlays in it too. You can see for someone had cut in some diamonds here. The inscription on here reads, U.S. silver, and there's a small engraving of a buck on it. This isn't probably what I would call a buck rifle, but you could easily take a buck with this rifle if you did your due diligence. These are the cartridges. These are a slight bottleneck cartridge. If you can look, you can see They're just slightly bottlenecked. They have a 312 diameter bullet, so not really a true 32 caliber bullet. You can compare. This is a 44-40 round, and that is a 32-20 round. If I can get it to stand up there, I can't. But you can see that the difference between the two rounds is substantial. So that's the difference there. I'll show you a target I shot. I did go out the other day and shoot. I had a little snub nose, just for the fun of it. I did a short, excuse me, where I wanted to see. I seen some information on snub nose revolvers for self-defense, and you can take a look at that short. It's just it was a quick run out to the range, and the snow is really, really deep out there, so it wasn't really pleasant to do, but I did it nonetheless. So I won't be going out there for a while, at least until the snow gets down a little bit and you can move out there, because it's hard walking. This is a target I had on another video, but this target was shot with this rifle at 50 yards off of the bench. I was just testing the loadout. I'm pretty impressed with the 3 shots right here. With the open crude, I guess these are kind of a crude sight. For me, my old eyes, and you got a 150-year-old, 140-year-old rifle. I would say this is pretty outstanding for what we're doing. I'm shooting my own cast bullets and a small charge. So that's what the rifle's capable of doing. All things being equal, I'm sure you could keep them all into this. This is probably a first couple shots before I could figure out where to aim on the animal. But, and there you go. 140-year-old rifle, 50 yards, no problem at all. And I did find in my gun cupboard, this was shot, it doesn't have a date on it, it just says 1873, 44-40 at 50 yards. You can see this is just getting the sight setting, and then the 4 shots up top here. Again, you're shooting this with a 140-year-old rifle, and the bullets are nice and round, and I was pretty impressed for what that was. So there's a couple of targets that I shot with these old Winchester rifles. The actions on these are only hampered, I think, a little bit just by the sheer spring strength on these. Without the spring, you can run it really quick, but the spring on these triggers are kind of hard. But that's to be expected. No misfires. They don't eject really that hard. It's kind of you really got to throw the lever to get them come up and out or over your hat or whatever. But they operate just the way they did, probably brand new. This particular rifle, after I had shot it, only about a half a box. Couple things I noticed about it, and I mentioned in another video, was we felt that the brass had expanded a little bit too much, a little bit, about 20 thousandths more than it should, and that was going to be hard on the brass for one, and the chamber just probably had gotten wore out over the years, probably from cleaning or just rusting or whatever, or somebody tried to polish the rust out and it just increased the diameter, and that's absolutely not a good thing. The 73s, they don't have, if you look at a lot of lever guns, you'll see they have pressure ports or holes in the receivers to allow pressure to escape in case you have a burst cartridge. That isn't the case on the 73s. That doesn't make them dangerous, but you want everything to be working. I mean, 99.9% of the time, if you had a malfunction in here, you still got all the pressure going out the barrel, but you still you don't have that safety of the pressure release on the side. So the only place for the pressure to go is backwards, where your eyeball and skull is. So that's probably not a great thing. So you want these things to perform the way they're supposed to perform and do the things you're supposed to do. So that's one of the reasons I'm just going to have it rechambered in 3220 and just have a sleeve put in. They'll re-ream it for a 3220 Winchester, and we'll just have a new 312, 313 barrel put in it with good rifling. This one also, about halfway down, I noticed a small ring. And usually what happens with something like that is somebody fires a squib, which, they were reloading and they didn't put any powder in it maybe, or something of that effect. And, they didn't realize it, and the bullet got lodged in the barrel, and they shot it again. And that pressure with the one stuck and then the one coming, that pressure alone, before the bullets even touch, is going to cause the barrel to bulge a little bit. Or in this case, didn't bulge the barrel, but it did leave a ring in there. That would be my guess. Or somebody's just shoved it full of mud, clean up, into the barrel, and then the pressure got to the point where it caused the ring. So I'm not really sure which one, but one or the other happened. It's a slight ring. It's not going to impede the rifle from shooting, but the other things, like I said, the chamber, the diameter, I feel a little bit safer if I just went ahead and had it relined. That's pretty much all I have to say about the old rifle. It's a beautiful old rifle. You can tell whoever had it must have loved the rifle. They put a lot of money into this silver inlay, and it just looks like something that hung on the wall, and they were quite proud of. And a nice gun for around the farm. It was a nice gun to take out for medium-sized game, foxes, coyotes, whatever might, skunks, the whole thing, raccoons. This is primarily what these were, just kind of a varmint rifle. And although I suppose you could hunt deer with it, wouldn't be my first choice, but I'm sure that back in the day, you did what you did, you had to do, or whatever. If this was the rifle you had, this is the rifle you hunted with. So pretty much all I have to say about this 73. It's mine now, and it's in my collection. I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to sending it off and getting it relined and getting it back and giving it a try, and then I'll report back to you guys and see how it worked and if it improved the accuracy, or I'm sure it will a little bit, but again, these rifles were limited in a lot of ways as far as accuracy, unlike a bolt rifle or whatever. They're only going to be so accurate. So that's my video. If you like this kind of content, talking about old rifles and of the Old West and I've got other things that we'll do. Subscribe, give me a like, give a comment down below. I'd appreciate that. And thanks for watching my video.